Deputy Troy.
The fact that I finally get the opportunity to raise this issue. The rollout of broadband is coming to many homes, and other homes within metres of these premises are not able to avail of the rollout. This government, and indeed the previous government's record in the rollout of broadband, is absolutely dire. And the facts don't lie. Ireland ranks 42 in the global rankings for the distribution of high-speed broadband, while 40% of the population and 96% of the country geographically lacks commercial or fibre coverage. That's approximately 2.3 million premises. Now, the Minister, on behalf of the government, signed an agreement with Éireann to provide broadband to 300,000 premises. I want to know, how were these premises identified? Quite clearly, it was done by way of a desktop exercise with no relevance to how it impacts on the ground. I can give you scores of examples of where the rollout of broadband is coming to one house on the road and not going to the next house on the road, coming at either ends of the road and leaving 5 houses in the middle without eligibility to connect to broadband. Areas such as the Lynn Road, Mullingar, Torranstown, Gaybrook, Knockaville, Killucan, Cumminstown, Banlacarrigan, my own village, Irishtown, Mullingar, Kilbeggan, Coola Lawns. Coola Lawns, certain houses in the housing estate can have access to broadband and other houses can't. Ballynamudda, Moat, Killinure North in Athlone, and they're just a number of examples where broadband is going partially down roads and leaving other people without access. Now, in reply to a parliamentary question, the Minister said that any decision by the company to provide a service to premises not covered by the commitment agreement would be a matter for the company and not a matter in which I have any role. Factually incorrect. No matter when I contact the company about all of these areas, they said they're prohibited from rolling it out any further, and it's disgraceful.
Deputy Moynihan.
I think that is the kernel of the issue, whether the contract needs to be altered or looked at by the government and by the department to allow air. We have scores of areas around the country, in my own area, where the air rollout is coming. We can talk about the major issue in relation to broadband, but just specifically on the contract that has been given by the government to air, and we have, like my colleague has said, we have communities and places where they are stopping, and there's only 5 or 6 more houses on the line, or 3 or 4 more houses on the line, and it is changed to a different line, or a different line is coming in a different direction. We have places like Bantir, Knocknagree, Buin, Cullen, Newmarket, Turlease, Lisrobin, Boherbue, Ballinora. These are places where they are specifically coming to a particular location, and we contacted the department. The department are saying it is Air's responsibility to extend it. We contacted Air, and Air are saying that they're prohibited from going any further because of the contract that they have given by the state. Now, somebody needs to tell us who is blocking it, who is stopping it, and how can it be changed, because it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever from a logistical point of view, from a common sense point of view, to look at roads or look at communities that are being divided absolutely and completely by this. And I think that the Minister needs to look at it, and they need to make sure that there is flexibility within the contract to allow the company to complete a particular section of road, whether it is only 3 or 4 houses or 2 or 3 houses, and in some instances where there is different telephone exchanges coming at either side of it, there's 1 or 2 houses left in the middle, and Air are telling us that the government, the department and the contract is prohibiting them from extending it, and the government are telling us that it is Air. 1 or 2, it cannot be right. Somebody somewhere is telling us untrue stories, and we need to get to the bottom of it, and we need flexibility to at least allow common sense, because there's a whole different argument in relation to all the commitments that have been given in relation to broadband not adding up.
Minister Kyne, please.
I'd like to thank Deputies Troy and Moynihan for raising this issue, and I welcome the opportunity to address the House on the matter. Deputies are aware that the reply to PQ 78 of the 18th of September that Minister Naughton signed a commitment agreement with Éireann in April 2017 in relation to its plans to provide high-speed broadband to 300,000 premises in rural areas on a commercial basis. To date, Éireann state that over 177,000 premises have been passed. The National Broadband Plan aims to deliver high-speed broadband to every citizen and business in Ireland. This has been achieved through a combination of commercial investment and a state-led intervention. Under EU competition rules, the state can only intervene where there is evidence of market failure and where commercial investment is unlikely. Éireann selected some 300,000 premises for high-speed broadband based on the company's own analysis. These premises had previously been categorised for inclusion in the state intervention area for the National Broadband Plan. In April 2017, my department determined the company's deployment plans were credible and they were accordingly deemed commercial and removed from the state intervention area. With regard to the Deputy's query regarding the assessment of properties on a case-by-case basis, Éireann has selected the premises to be included in their rollout and internal and commercial criteria as permitted when commerciality of an area can be demonstrated. Neither I, nor Minister Naughton, nor my department had any input to that process. The role of myself and Minister Naughton relates only to oversight and verification that these premises are passed according to the milestones laid out in the commitment agreement. Éireann has stated publicly that it is not in a position to include additional premises on a case-by-case basis, and this is entirely a matter for the company, as all commercial decisions are matters for private operators in the market. I appreciate the frustration felt by people who see the deployment by operators across the country, but who are themselves still waiting for a high-speed broadband service. For those premises not served through a commercial investment, they will be included in the state intervention area, which will build a high-speed broadband network in those areas not served by the commercial operators. My department is in the formal procurement process to select a company who will roll out a high-speed broadband network in the state intervention area and is now evaluating the final tender submission received from the bidding consortium on the 18th of September 2018. This is a significant milestone as the National Broadband Plan procurement process enters its final stages. In conclusion, I can assure the House that every day more and more people in every county in Ireland are benefiting from access to high-speed broadband as a direct result of Government's action on the National Broadband Plan. And I continue to be committed to the delivery of high-speed broadband to every home and every business in Ireland. Today, some 7 out of 10 houses of the 2.3 million premises in Ireland have access to high-speed broadband. It's anticipated by the end of the year that will grow to 8 out of 10 years, or 8 out of 10 houses. It is important, as I said, the milestone that's there. It is expected that a tender will be signed with the final bidder before the end of this year. Will roll out to start the intervention area, all 540,000 houses of those from 2019 on. That will take a period of time, and it is expected from early 2019 that every house will be told exactly when they will be connected. Regarding the process that Éireann selected the houses, I share the Deputy's frustration. I've made representations as a constituency TD to Éireann in relation to houses left out, the line being extended up a road and not going any further. So I share the frustration that all members have in the areas that you've identified. I can identify areas myself as well. We also accept that because of the push with the National Broadband Plan, because the pressure applied to the commercial operators, that Éireann have agreed to sign with the Department a commitment contract that will deliver 300,000 connections. So we must also appreciate that for all the people left out, there will be 300,000 premises connected to high-speed broadband because of the commitment contract signed with the state. Unfortunately, and no more than when the intervention area will be decided upon, every house cannot be connected the 1 year, the 1 month, the 1 week. They will have to start somewhere. We want to ensure a regional spread when the intervention area is rolled out.
Deputy Troy.
Thank you, Ken Corley. Well, Minister, you're talking about the 177,000 premises that have been connected. What we're raising here this evening are the thousands of houses that aren't going to be connected. And in your reply this evening, you're not giving them any hope. You're telling them that the rollout or the tender process for the National Broadband Plan is not going to be completed till the end of this year. And we know, based on the past record of this government, that the timetable mightn't even be adhered to. And there's going to take a number of years until such time as that's rolled out. So people in the areas that I've outlined already could be waiting anything between 3 and 5 years to have access to broadband. While at the current moment in time, there is a broadband provider in their vicinity, on their road, providing broadband to their neighbours, and they can't avail of it. Now, Minister, we need a little bit of creativity. We need a little bit of thinking outside the box, because, as my colleague said, it makes logistical sense, it makes creative sense, and it makes economic sense. That if we're going to be paying a contractor in an area, that they should go down and finish out that area and not have a situation where people are left without broadband. If we're serious about encouraging people to live in rural Ireland, if we're serious about having businesses operate in rural Ireland, well, then we need to be serious about rolling out broadband provision for rural Ireland. And unfortunately, to date, this government hasn't been.
Deputy Moynihan.
Thank you, Seán Corley. What we have before the Dáil this evening is a discussion in relation to the air contract that has been given by the department, and that are people at the very end of the line, a small number of people on each at the end of each lines, that they should be extended to. When the line is stopping, where there's 10 houses or 8 houses to complete the line and to stopping there, it makes common sense to actually, for the department to call in here and say, are there communities, are there places where a small amount of further investment on that contract would complete the rollout of broadband to those communities? And from your initial response, you gave us all the statistics in relation to my mind, and I've listened to it for the last 4 or 5 years in relation to the rollout of broadband and everything else. I think it's pie in the sky where it is going. I can't see any future to it. But I am asking you, Minister, in relation to 5 and 6 and 7 houses or 10 houses in the end of communities that I have mentioned, will the department call in AIR and say to them, can we apply some flexibility? Because AIR are telling us they can't do it because of department rules, and the department is saying it is AIR. Will they be brought in and discuss it? And for the sake of a very small amount, it makes common sense, it makes financial sense, and above all, it will bring a solution to what's going on the ground.
Minister, to conclude on this matter, please.
Thank you. As the deputies know, AIR is a private company. You should know Éireann was privatised in your time and the infrastructure sold off. So the government signed a commitment contract with AIR to connect to 300,000 houses that they identified. Regarding the houses that you talk about that are at the end of the roads, they will be part of the intervention area under the National Broadband Plan. The final tender has been received by the department, is being evaluated, and expected that a contract will be signed before year end, with an expectation that from 2019 onwards. Now, yes, these houses will be connected. I cannot give you a timeline for every individual house, but it's expected that from 2019 every house will be able to know when exactly. In terms of where in the intervention area those houses that you talk about, who will decide where they will be connected or where they will start? It would make perfect sense to me, and possibly to yourselves, that those houses where AIR go halfway up a road, that would be continued on as part of the intervention area under the contract. That's not for me to decide. That's for the tender to be evaluated, and I understand that they will look at the best technical and engineering solution to the rollout. The most important thing is that we have a geographic spread, that all areas are covered, and that there is a timeline, that there is certainty for those houses not presently connected. From my understanding, again, there is no process for the inclusion of premises in AIR's deployment on a case-by-case basis that my department is involved or aware of, but that AIR is entitled to deploy outside the areas planned under the 300,000 deployment, as any operator would be. They've publicly indicated very strongly that they are not in a position to do so on request. They can make decisions on a commercial basis. That's what they're saying. They can make decisions on a commercial basis, but the government has signed and they've given a commitment to the 300,000, so they have to ensure that those 300,000 houses are complete. What they do after that on a commercial basis is up to themselves. But those houses that aren't been covered on a commercial basis will be covered under the National Broadband Plan intervention area.